Welcome to our chair class or therapeutic class this morning. Our theme this week, excuse me, is around rest. And that does not mean we're going to do Shavasana for the full hour of the class. But the idea that we can take periodic rest to restore ourselves throughout the day or throughout our practice, that those little rests can really rejuvenate and give us a lot more energy and kind of tune us into that idea of giving to ourselves rather than just go, 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 go. And this is definitely a theme that I also need to take myself, because I tend to just keep on going until I'm exhausted. And maybe you've had that experience as well. So trying to stave off that idea of going until we can't go any longer and taking those little breaks, doing that little bit of self-care throughout the day, throughout the practice, and really tuning in. So rest is restorative when we are present with ourselves. So if we are lying down, supposedly resting, but we are busy thinking about what's coming next or what we need to do or feeling guilty for resting, then it's not as useful. Right, so really tuning into ourselves, coming back home to ourselves, and nourishing ourselves through these periodic short rests. So we'll be practicing that through the class, and then, as always, you can take that out into your day. We can rest in really any position. Generally, lying down is considered restful, but we can also rest seated, and we can rest standing. And the main criteria for a good rest is that we can breathe comfortably. Right, so if we're in a position where we're restricted in our breathing, it's going to be harder to rest. Right, so our nervous system, if we're unable to breathe comfortably, our nervous system starts to get a little bit ramped up, that fight or flight kind of mode. And so being able to breathe comfortably, being comfortable in our bodies, really important, so that the nervous system gets the message from our whole system that we are safe. Right? And when we feel safe, when we feel comfortable, when we can breathe comfortably, then we can rest. Right? So we're going to come to a seated position. So you can sit in a chair or the floor, whatever is comfortable for you. And we'll start there. Excuse me. Right, so as you come to sit, you're welcome to close your eyes. If it feels more comfortable to leave them open, that's always an option. Let's see if you can find a balanced and comfortable seat. So your weight is on your sit bones, and we talked about this last week. So if you were joining the class last week, it should feel familiar to feel that sense of pressure and support under your sit bones. And so the idea with sitting is it is some effort, right? When we sit up, we need to use a little bit of effort as opposed to lying down where we can completely let go. But we want to try to find the minimal amount, the least amount of effort possible. The sun has just come in my window and I'm quite blinded here. So I'm enjoying it, enjoying that sun on my face. So let's take a moment. Find that balance point, so a little bit forward or a little bit back, a little to one side or the other, to really feel balanced on your sit bones, and that you can use the least amount of effort possible for sitting. And if you're sitting on the floor and you feel like you're using your core and these muscles of your hip flexors in the front of your hips, if you're using those a lot to try and sit up and it feels like you're gripping or holding, I would suggest either come to sit on a chair or use a firm cushion to get your hips a little bit higher. And that will allow your back to come into its natural curves and the hip flexors and the abdomen to relax a little bit. So once you find as balanced a position as possible, let your shoulders drop down, let your jaw relax, your hands relax on your thighs or in your lap, wherever it's comfortable. If you're sitting on a chair, your feet are flat on the floor, legs aren't crossed. Taking a moment to tune in to where you're at right now. So we've checked in with the body and found that balance as much as possible. Notice if anything else is present, anything else that you're aware of in your body this morning. And then tune into your breath. So notice if you're holding any restriction around your breath, and if possible, just let your breath be as natural, as easeful as possible. Notice where you might be holding any tension around the breath. And see if you can soften even just a little bit. And tuning into your thoughts, into your mind. Noticing if your mind feels like it's able to rest a little bit, or if it feels like your mind is really busy. So sometimes we can lie down as if to rest, but we actually don't get much rest because the mind keeps us really engaged. So notice that if your mind is pulling you away, if your mind is keeping you engaged, notice that. Don't even try to change it. Just be with what is for now, noticing, even welcoming those thoughts. When our minds are busy, it's often because we've got something we're chewing on, something we maybe need to deal with or solve in our lives. And when we try to push our thoughts away, they tend to come back even more strongly. So making friends with whatever is present in your mind this morning. Notice any emotions or mood that is present. How are you feeling today? And again, without trying to change it, without trying to push anything away or make anything different, simply acknowledge, be present with, let go of any judgment, any need to change anything. And then let's start a little bit of movement. So with the hands on the thighs, lifting the heart, coming into the cat-cow movement with an inhale, arching, exhale, rounding. A few movements like that. You should see if you can kind of keep that same quality of ease that we were looking for in the seated rest. So there's no striving, no forcing. Just inhale, arch, exhale, rounding. You're nourishing your body through movement. And let's add raising the arms. So as you inhale and arch the back, the arms raise. And then exhale, add a forward bend. Let your body come more forward. And then inhale to lift. Exhale, forward. Do a few more. I'm trying to get into a better light situation here, but you can stay seated. I'm just going to stand so that I'm not in this super bright sunlight. Okay, so let's lift the shoulders, roll them back and down. And again, working in that same kind of restful ease as you move. Bringing that same quality, so we're not forcing, pushing, or trying to do anything in particular. Just letting the body wake up and luxuriate in the movement. Great. And then let the shoulders relax down, and we'll bring the hands up and rotate the wrists. Rotate one way and the other. And then give your hands a little shake. And interlace the fingers and reach them out in front. Shoulders down. And then only if it's comfortable for your wrists and shoulders, you can lift the arms, you can bend them as you lift. The hands are now facing up. And then releasing. And a big circle around. Okay, let's bring the hands together. Put a little pressure against the hands. Feel the arms and wrists wake up a little bit. And then we'll inhale and lift. Exhale and big circle. Go back to the center. Inhale, lift. And exhale to circle. Again, bring that quality of ease, effortlessness. Okay, this time as the arms come down, you can bring them behind you. If you're on a chair, you can take the hold of the sides of the chair, or you can bring your hands together if you can reach behind you. Draw the shoulder blades down and back, lift the heart, and take a couple of breaths here. The expansiveness across the shoulders and chest, breathing into that space. And then releasing to lift. Bring the hands together overhead and back through the center. And then bringing your hands onto your thighs. And we're going to come into a forward bend where we stay for a few breaths. So you can slide the elbows down onto your thighs. Let your head release forward. The back of your neck stretch a little bit. And take a few breaths here, feeling the expansion of your breath in the back of the body now. Let your body be supported by your arms on your legs. If it's too far forward, hands on the legs is fine too. And if you want to go even further, you can let the chest come down to your thighs and let the arms hang down toward the ground. So whatever position works for you, we'll take a few more breaths here in this forward bend position. And then when you're ready, if you've come all the way forward, you can bring your hands back to your knees to begin with and lift all the way up, breathing in. And a big circle as you let the arms float down, again, to your sides. And then with the feet a little bit more apart so that you've got good balance. And if you're sitting on the floor cross-legged, you're probably fine just as you are. And we'll circle the torso. So bringing the body towards one side, the other, and around in a circle. One way we can sort of bring our attention to the present moment, and we talk about this quite a lot, is to notice and tune into what you feel moment to moment. The alternative, or an alternative, because there's many ways to be present. Switch directions if you haven't already, but another way to be present is to notice the sounds around you. Not with a story or anything, but just noticing. Let's come back to the center. Again, let's access those sit bones, the two bones at the bottom of your pelvis that support you when you're sitting. We'll bring the hands to the shoulders, and you can either keep the elbows down to your sides, or if it's comfortable for you, lift the elbows up. And then slowly twist to one side, keeping the spine long. Come back to the center and slowly twist to the other side. Back to center and twist. So you're using just the strength of your core to twist your body. And this way we're much less likely to over twist or use leverage to twist and potentially go too far. We've got this built-in control. Don't worry about your breathing, but do make sure you are breathing. Great, let's come back to the center. Bring your hands onto your thighs. And we'll come back to this cat-cow movement. So inhale, arching. Exhale, rounding. And again, keeping with that energy of softness, of release, of working with your body, not forcing, pushing, or working against your body in any way. We slow our movements down. We give our nervous system the message that we're safe, that all is well. And even if you generally feel safe in your life, we live in a pretty safe place, we can have these sort of underlying, we can have an underlying anxiety that sort of we feel in our guts. And when we slow down, kind of tap into that sense of ease a little more easily, a little more readily. Right. So let's come back to where we started today, finding your sit bones, sitting with ease, comfort, as much as possible. Remember, you can adjust your position or move onto another surface if you're not comfortable at any time. And come back to the sense of, for this moment, doing absolutely nothing. Notice how your body feels, how your breath is. Letting go of as much effort as possible. So there's no need to do anything here, just enough effort to hold yourself upright, and that's all. And let's turn the head to one side now. We'll work a little bit with the neck. So being gentle with your neck. Necks can be quite tender and sensitive. So turning to one side, never to the point of strain, but till you feel a bit of restriction. And then a little half circle very slowly, moving across the front of your chest, coming up to the other side and honoring whatever restrictions are present. Circling back, that little half circle across the chest. To the other side. And we'll go side to side a few times, staying within what feels like a nice, easeful, comfortable position. If it's comfortable for you, you can make a full circle. I always caution not to let your head fall back, which can be problematic for the vertebrae of your neck. So you just want to come forward, around, across the top, and you can switch directions if you're doing the full circle. And then making your way back to center. Right, let's release the arms down to the sides. You can bring one hand to the floor or to your chair, so you've got some support as we lift the other. And feel the arm that's up in the air and the sit bone on that same side moving in opposite directions. So we're really lengthening that one side, pressing down into your sit bone. Feel that sit bone drill into the chair, the earth, arm lifting up. And then you can slowly reach to the side, but keep that connection with your sit bone. When you feel a bit of restriction, come back up. We'll release and other side. So start by feeling your sit bone go down, the arm reach up, and that whole side lengthening. And then keeping that connection with your sit bone up and over just until you feel a bit of stretch or a bit of restriction, so we're not going as far as we can. Finding that little bit of opening in the side, and then come back and release. And back to cat-cow. Inhale, arch, exhale, and round. Great. And then let's come to a neutral position, and we'll make our way upright to stand. As you come to a standing position, finding Tadasana or mountain pose, so your feet are parallel to one another, about hip distance apart. And feel your heels sink slightly down, so your thighs gently engage. And now your heels are kind of the point of contact with the earth, as opposed to earlier the sit bones. You might feel how your sit bones are connected to your heels. So from your sit bones, imagine a line of energy going down the back of your legs. It roughly follows the path of the sciatic nerve, actually, that comes down from your spine, separates, and goes down your legs right down to the heels. And your sciatic nerve kind of acts like a root. And if you've had sciatic pain in the past, you probably know that this is a big nerve with a lot of sensation. So feeling that sense of going down into the earth, from the center up, lifting, and then finding as much ease as you can here. So finding that balance point where there's the least amount of effort. Arms hang at your side, shoulders down. Chin is slightly down, so the back of the neck is long, crown of the head lifting. And we can even find a sense of rest and restoration in standing. So finding that point of least effort. You can have your eyes open or closed. For some people, it feels a little unbalanced to have your eyes closed standing, so absolutely keep them open. But if it helps you to feel a little more easeful, you can close your eyes. So the rest is, again, bringing the attention back to this moment. Right? So we can rest in the lineup at the grocery store, standing and bringing our attention back to the moment. We don't have to only rest in our beds when everything is completely quiet and we're at ease in our bodies, but we can find that place of refuge within ourselves no matter where we are or what we're doing. Well, let's take the feet apart now. Bring the hands to the hips, soften your knees, and let's do a few circles for the hips. So starting to bring some movement and hopefully some ease into your hips after we've been sitting for a while. tuning into the experience, what you notice. Always helps us to stay present when we're tuning into what's happening in our bodies. Circle the other way as well. And then let's come back to the center. And I'm going to use a chair to demonstrate. We'll work with a little bit of balance, and you may or may not choose to do the full balance, but you can also use a chair. So we're going to work a little bit with the hip joints. And you can start by coming onto the toes of one foot. So you're just bending one knee and coming onto your toes. And we're going to turn the knee out by rotating the hip and turn the knee in. Your other hand can rest on your hip just to get it out of the way. So turn out and turn in. Notice how your hip joint feels as you do this. And if you want a little bit more with challenge with balance here, you can lift the foot, turning out, turning in. Right. And then give that leg a little shake. And then you can do the same thing on the other side. So come to your toes and rotate in and out with that hip joint. So the knee turns in and then out. Again, if you want to work a little more on balance, lift your foot up. Right, and then give it a shake and release. Right, then we're going to work a little bit on flexion and extension. So that was rotation, flexion and extension. So you can face the chair if you're using a chair for this one, and you'll bring the knee up. And then we're going to take it back. Your toes can come to the ground. And you want to do this without leaning forward. So as the leg goes back, you want to lift the chest a little. And you can lift the leg if you like. And then swing it forward. So forward and back. Now, if you don't need to hold the chair, that's fine. Great. And let's try the same thing on the other side. And again, you can give the leg you just worked a little shake, release any tension there. And then other side, so knee comes up and back. So again, you want to keep your upper body in the same position as you do this. When you take your leg back, your upper body wants to come forward. See if you can resist that. Go on your bed. Good. And again, give it a little shake. Great. Come back to stand on both feet. Let's take the feet apart for a moment again and do a few circles, just making sure that we're not bringing tension with the movement. Right. There's a difference between effort and tension. So effort is required to move our bodies, and we want to try to work with the least amount of effort possible, especially in our class today, focused on rest, but still keep the integrity of the movement. So the next one, again, working with the hips, we're going to come with the weight onto one foot, the opposite hand on the hip, and you're going to take the leg straight out to the side, cross it over in front, straight out to the side, cross it over behind. So out and forward, out and back. Again, you want to try to keep your upper body upright. So as the leg goes to the side, you don't want to lean to the opposite side. And that way we're really focused on the muscles around the hip. Great. To do the other side, you might, if you're using a chair, want to bring it over to the opposite side so you've got room to swing. So again, weight goes to the inside foot. Hand can come to the hip. You're taking the leg to the side, crossing in front, to the side, crossing behind. Make sure you're breathing. Good. And then come back to stand. And again, feet a little bit apart, hands to the hips, and we'll circle the hips around. One way and the other. Coming back to the center, you can keep the feet a little bit wider. Drop down into your heels. If you're locking your knees, you might bend and straighten them a few times to release tension around the knees. And then we're going to work with a side bend as we did seated. So starting by lifting one arm, same thing here, press down into the foot on that side, reach up with the arm. Really feel anchored. As you reach over, keep lifting up while you press down into the heel. Come up and release. So let's do that a couple times. So coming up, press down with your foot, up with the arm, reach over until you feel a little bit of stretch, and then come back and release. Again, press down and up. Keep that lifting and grounding. And this time, if you like, you can stay for maybe a couple of breaths here. Lifting up and release. Let's bring the feet together for a moment. Pause and notice. So notice the side that you've just stretched and compare that maybe with the side that we haven't yet stretched. Just an exercise in awareness. There's no right or wrong. Just noticing, can I feel a difference? What do I notice in my body? What am I aware of? And then take the feet wide again, and we'll work with the other side. So arm up. Again, pressing down into that heel, up with the arm. And then keeping that sense of going down and up at the same time, over to the side. Feel that little stretch or a bit of resistance, and then come back. Coming up. Reaching over. And back down. And this time you have the option to stay. So really anchor yourself down, reach up, reach to the side, and maybe stay for a couple of breaths. Try to let this lower arm be relaxed as you really focus on the long side, pressing down, reaching up, and breathing. Breathing into that space down into the side of your body. When you're ready, coming back up and releasing. Bring the feet together. And again, notice, what are you aware of in your body now that you've done both sides? Maybe you were noticing one side felt easier than the other. I didn't tell you which side to do first, so you tend to naturally choose the side that's easier if there is a side that's more comfortable or easier. Down with the heels, feel your thighs engage. Feel a lift through the center of your body. And find as much ease in the standing position as possible. Let your body rest here. Let your mind come in tune with your body, resting in this present moment. There's nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do right now. Knowing yourself as present as possible. And then let's inhale and lift the arms up to the side. We're going to bend the knees and come into a forward bend. Your hands can come to your thighs, shins, or wherever they reach. Let your head release. And then inhale to come up. We'll repeat this several times. Exhale forward. Find your own comfortable pace. If it's not comfortable coordinating with the breath, just do the movement, breathe normally. This last time, if you like, you can stay in the forward bend for a few breaths. Find the position that works best for you. And maybe breathing into the back of the body and feeling some expansion around the back ribs, maybe lower back. And then as you're ready, we'll come all the way up, breathing in, reaching up overhead. And then softly releasing, letting the arms come down. Coming back to mountain pose or Tadasana, the Sanskrit name for the pose. And again, take a moment to notice what's present in your body right now. What are you aware of? Has that changed in the last couple of minutes since we checked in before? So now we're going to make our way down onto the ground. And here's where I mentioned at the beginning, if you have a blanket, have it handy when you come to lie down. We won't use it quite yet. So here, as you come to lie down, find whatever position is comfortable for you. You can let the hands rest on your body or on the ground, whatever you prefer. So this is our more traditional posture of rest. And we'll start here with a little moment to tune in. Your legs can be bent or they can be straight. And if your legs are bent, you might even want to take your feet a bit wider, let your knees fall together so they support each other. So there's no effort here. Your job is to simply breathe, soften, and let go. So notice where you're holding tension. Notice where you're resisting. Can you drop in a little bit more now? And then we'll work with a twist here. And we're going to vary the breath a little bit. And again, always working with the breath is optional. So as long as you're breathing, it's good. Arms out to the sides now, knees bent, feet on the floor. And to slow us down, to bring a little more awareness into our movement, we're going to only move on the exhalation. So you'll start here with an inhale. And as you exhale, let both knees go to one side. You can turn your head the opposite way if you like, and then you'll stay there as you breathe in. And then as you exhale again, knees come back to the center. You'll stay there as you inhale. And then exhaling, knees go the other way. Stay there as you inhale. Exhale back to center. Stay there as you inhale. Keep going at your own pace. And again, if coordinating with the breath doesn't feel right for you, just find a nice, slow, easeful movement where there's a bit of a pause in the center and a little bit of a pause to each side. And to really honor those times of transition in our bodies and in our lives. Maybe one more to either side. And eventually making your way back to the center. To even out the spine and the hips after the twist, you want to bring the knees up into the chest, give the back a little bit of a stretch. And you move forward and back with the knees. So moving the knees away and then towards you. So feeling how your weight shifts along the ground. Tune into that feeling of a little bit of massage with the pressure on your back and the back of the hips. If you want to coordinate your breathing, inhale as the knees go away and make space for the breath. Exhale as the knees come in and squeeze the breath out. And then hugging the knees close to you. The knees can be apart if that feels a little easier to breathe, or together. You can clasp your hands or hold each knee, whatever is comfortable for you. Let the shoulders relax. If it's more comfortable, you can even let the elbows rest on the ground and let your hands rest on the side of your thighs. And take a few breaths here. And then little movements. You could rock side to side or circle your knees around. And then coming back to the center, bringing your feet to the floor. Arms rest on the floor, just out to your sides a little bit. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, press down into your feet. And as your tailbone starts to lift at the end of your exhale, I'm going to keep it lifting. You're going to breathe in as you lift up. Again, coordinating the breath is optional. And then out as you drop down if you're coordinating. Excuse me, inhale up, exhale lower. And again, you can do this without coordinating with the breath if that feels better for you. Just lift and lower at a pace that feels comfortable. You can either keep moving, or if you like, you can stay and work on getting a little more strength in the thighs. Try and think of your upper body as just hanging and relaxed. Your jaw, face, neck, arms, shoulders, hands, all resting and relaxed while your legs do the work. And so we can practice resting and relaxing in one part of the body while we bring effort to another part of the body. Find that balance if you can. And then slowly release. As your hips come down, keeping the knees bent and just rocking a little bit side to side. So just a few inches to either side, just massaging the back of the sacrum a little bit. And then coming back to the center. So we're going to move shortly into Shavasana. And here's where you have the option to use your blanket to help get a little more openness across the chest. Totally optional. But if you have a blanket and you want to try this, you can roll to your side and come upright. And this time of day, I'm really seem to be fighting with the lighting, so I'm sorry if it's a little challenging to see. But you want to take your blanket so that it is in this kind of shape. So my blanket is folded twice from its original size. So if you've got fringes on your blanket, you've got fringes on one end, none on the other. And then you're going to make your blanket into a kind of an accordion. You can also roll it up. This roll it is probably easiest. I find it's not quite as comfortable that way. But you can also accordion it. So if I bring it to the ground, I'm going to just weave it to the back and forth a few times so it's a little flatter than it would be if I rolled it. And so it's about maybe the size of my hand wide. It's got a couple of folds. And I've still got my fringes on one end and not the other. So if you don't have fringes, doesn't matter, but it becomes relevant here. So we're going to take the blanket, if you're using it, and you don't have to. You're going to bring it onto your mat so that if you've got fringes, they're where your head is going to be, right? So the flat part is where your hips are going to be. And then what you'll do is you'll come to sit on your mat, not on the blanket, sit on the mat, and bring the blanket close to your sacrum. Okay. From there, you're going to lie back down. And you might need to pick up your hips and kind of adjust your pelvis so it's comfortable. If it feels like your lower back is jammed up, you may want to even try starting with your hips on the blanket so that your hips and spine are in alignment. But you want to make sure your head is supported here. So I'm actually going to come off with my hips. And then you want your head to be on the blanket at least. And if you want a little more support, you can take the end and you can kind of tuck it under so you've got a little bit more of a pillow there. If you have a pillow handy and you want to put it under your head, that's fine too. Okay, so whether you're on the ground, whether you're on the blanket, we're moving into Shavasana now. If you've gotten all settled on your blanket and you realize you're not comfortable, you just roll to your side, get it out of the way, and you can do that anytime. Right? So if you stop being comfortable, just get rid of the blanket if you're using it. Knees can be bent or straight legs, whatever you like. Hands rest on your body or out to the side. Again, whatever you like. And if you want to really take advantage of this chest opening and you're on the blanket, you can take the arms even more to the sides. So finding where you feel a very comfortable stretch in your shoulders. If it's not comfortable, then you've missed the point, right? So we want to be totally comfortable here so we can relax. So I'll give you another minute or two to sort yourselves out, to get comfortable, to really tune in. Am I good here or do I need to shift? And while you're getting organized, I'm going to come to sit and stay where you are. Take your time, get comfortable. Find that position where you know your body's not going to get in the way of you resting as much as possible. And then once you settle and you find that comfortable position, letting your breath come to an ease where there's the least amount of effort involved in your breathing. Just letting the breath come and go. Bringing your awareness down to your feet. So notice the position of your feet, where your feet meet the ground. And asking your feet to let go, to relax. And thank them for the hard work they do of carrying you around. And then allow them to deeply let go, deeply relax. And then again, bringing your awareness to your calves and ankles. Tuning in, thanking your calves and ankles for the effort they put in to move you through life. And then letting go. Letting them give over to deep rest. Bringing your attention up to your knees and thighs, thanking your knees and thighs for the effort, moving you in the world. And then allowing your knees and thighs to let go as completely as possible. Coming into rest now from your hips to your toes, feeling your legs release and let go. Bringing your awareness to the hips and pelvis. And thanking your hips and pelvis for the effort of moving you through the world, supporting you. And then letting them go completely. And then bringing your awareness to your belly and lower back, the middle of your torso. Thanking this part of your body for the effort and work that it does. The organs working hard within your body. Even when we're at rest, the organs are still doing their job. And the more we can rest and give energy to the organs, the more they will function efficiently. We know that stress impedes our functioning. Relaxation can boost our functioning. Feel the area around the chest and upper back now. Thanking this area of your body for all its effort. Letting go. Letting the chest and upper back relax. Bringing your attention to your shoulders, arms, and hands. Thanking your shoulders, arms, and hands for all of the effort that they do for you to help you move through your life. then letting them go, letting them relax. Bring your awareness to your neck, face, and head. Thanking your neck, face, and head for everything that it brings to you for your life. And then letting your neck, face, and head completely relax. And your whole body soften, relax, and let go. Thanking your whole body for all of its effort to move you through life. Thanking your mind and letting it go. Letting the breath be as easeful as possible now. I'll share with you a chant for peace. Peace in the body, peace in the breath, peace in your mind, your emotions, peace in yourself and in your relationships, peace within and all around you. Shanto Vikrashambarna Shanno Bhavatvayava Shanno Indro Bruhaspatihi Shanno Vishnu Ramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvam Eva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvam Eva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Vritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So keeping this sense of centeredness, of inwardness, start to deepen your breath a little bit. Think about bringing this quality of ease from your shavasana into your waking state, into your alert and active state. So as you start to move your body, move from that place of deep connected rest, of ease in your body, peace in your body. How would it feel to move that way? I feel like you've just woken up from a delicious nap and you're carrying that wonderful, easeful, peaceful energy into your day. So you start to move with that intention. And if you're lying on the blanket, you'll roll off to your side. And if you're just lying on the ground, you can also roll to your side. And then take your time, use your opposite hand for support to help you to come back upright if you're ready to come back to sitting. And wherever you are, you can bring your hands together at your heart. And as always, I encourage you to take this theme with you as you go into your life. And find those little moments where we can come back to ourselves, connect to ourselves in a deep, restorative, restful, and connected way so that we can rejuvenate ourselves little bit by little bit as we go through our day. Namaste.